Welcome back to the Weekly Word. We're in a beautiful little cemetery here, way out in the country in Rhea County, visiting the grave of Return Jonathan Meigs, American hero, buried here in Rhea County. Used to be the old famous Indian agent. He did a lot of great things before that, though. He fought in the Revolutionary War and actually got a letter of commendation from General George Washington himself. And then he fought later in the War of 1812 with his son Timothy is buried beside him, and Meigs' wife here. Timothy's wife, we found her grave over at Calhoun. He lived also over there when he died. I think he died in Calhoun, and then they brought him back over here to bury him. The reason this spot's over here is because this was the site very near here of the old Hiwassee garrison. The Indian agency, it looks like it started out about 1792 up at Fort Southwest Point, as the federal government set up somebody to deal with the Indians, and that's present-day Kingston today. You can go visit Fort Southwest Point. It's been restored, and just like it was in the 1790s, and might be a weekly word for us later on. Eventually it moved to Tellico Blockhouse for a little while, it looks like, and then it moved over here to the Hiwassee garrison, which is just across the Tennessee River, sort of looking at Jolly Island, they called it back then, after Chief Jolly, but today everybody calls it Hiwassee Island, at the confluence of the Hiwassee. But the interesting story about the Hiwassee garrison is the federal government built it on private land, and the landowner took them to court, and after a few years the Supreme Court told the federal government they had to move the fort because it was on private land. And then Meigs, they moved it on up to a few miles up the Hiwassee here to Agency Creek. And then eventually it ended up at Fort Cass for the finale there, where the Trail of Tears, everything took place. Charleston, they call it today. But Meigs he has an interesting name, don't he? Return Jonathan Meigs. And other than his family, I never heard anybody else called Return. He left his mark all over Tennessee. He's got a county named after him. He's got a mountain in the Smokies, but his first name was Return. There's a sort of romantic story that goes with that name. It was his grandpa, I believe this happened to. His grandpa was courting a Quaker girl, and he kept wanting her to marry him, and she wouldn't marry him. He finally came to her and said, she come out on the porch, he said, either you're going to have to marry me or I'm going to have to get along with my life. And she wasn't going to marry him, and he went and turned, he got on his horse, and he put his foot in the stirrup and started to swing over into the saddle, and she said, Return. And he came back and he married her, and they named one of their children Return. So that's how the name got in the family. If you start researching now, the Meigs family is full of returns. I asked AI about it because it was AI sometimes right and sometimes wrong, you know, but AI said it was probably a connotation to a religious connotation. I thought, well, that'd work good too, but I think the story's been confirmed to be true that I told you. But return with religious connotations would be, of course, return of Christ, like Christian connotations, you know, like the Lord's coming back one of these days. And that's true. The Lord's going to return for his church. And you get to thinking about it, if Return Jonathan Meigs and these folks here in the cemetery, the ones that are Christians, they're going to return with him, because it says when the Lord comes back, he's bringing his church with him. I hope you'll be in that number too, that if you're still alive, we'll go out and meet him. But if we're going on beforehand, like many have already done, then we're going to return and with the Lord as he comes back down here and resurrects those that are here behind. But thanks for joining us. We're going to explore around here in Rhea County a little bit more, and just see who else may be buried in this old country cemetery. The people buried back here from well over 200 years ago. We'll see you next week on the Weekly Word.